Welcome to the Total Brake Job, brought to you by WinHere. This video will show a disc brake inspection and replacement of brake pads, brake rotors, and hardware. A proper brake job starts with premium parts designed to original equipment manufacturer's specifications. Premium brake pads, premium brake rotors, and new brake hardware are the best insurance for a trouble-free brake job. There are many different styles of brake caliper, pad, and rotor combinations. This is the style we'll be working with today. First, using a micrometer, measure the brake rotor thickness. Measurements should be taken in at least 3 different locations around the rotor, using the lowest recorded reading. If any scoring or rust pits are present, take the measurement in these locations. After measuring the brake rotor, check the brake specification book to make sure there is enough material for the brake rotor to be machined. Any deep scoring, deep rust pits, or hard spots will require the brake rotor to be replaced. Remember to always replace brake rotors in pairs to avoid pulling or uneven braking. As part of the inspection process, verify the brake caliper bleeder screw will open. If it will not open, breaks off, or is missing, the caliper needs to be replaced. Next, perform the rest of the inspection. Check the pads, rotors, calipers, and hoses. Brake pads require replacement when 1/8 to 5/32 of an inch or 3 to 4 millimeters of friction material remain. Inspect the brake hose, looking for cracks, bubbles, or twists. Remove the brake caliper bolts and remove the caliper. Visually inspect the caliper for fluid leaks, excessive rust, or a torn dust boot. Be sure the slide pins move freely. Now retract the caliper piston with the bleeder screw open using a C-clamp. Some vehicles may require caliper removal in order to retract the piston. Please consult the service manual for your vehicle. Be sure to close the bleeder screw once the caliper piston is retracted to prevent air from entering the hydraulic system. Brake fluid will damage paint and can cause blindness. Always use the proper safety equipment and care to protect yourself and the vehicle. When the caliper is removed, it must be properly supported. Never allow the caliper to hang from the hose. After removing the caliper bracket, remove the brake pads. Excessive force should not be required to remove the brake pads from the caliper bracket. If anything other than hand pressure is required, there's a problem with the brake pad hardware or caliper bracket. Remove the guide pins and inspect for corrosion or wear. Then remove the brake pad hardware clips and inspect the caliper bracket for excessive corrosion. Corrosion will cause the caliper bracket surface to grow and pinch the brake pads and brake pad hardware in the bracket, not allowing the pads to slide freely. Always use premium brake pads. Premium brake pads are designed to be equivalent to or better than the original equipment brake pads. Most premium brake pads will contain new brake hardware. Match the old and new parts to be sure they are the same. If you'll be machining the brake rotor, mark the brake rotor and wheel hub for reassembly. Marking its current location will help prevent any runout caused by stacking tolerances. To aid in removing the brake rotor from the wheel hub, you may need to spray penetrating oil around the center hub hole and use a hammer on the rotor hat. It's extremely important to remove any rust or corrosion from the hub flange face. We recommend using an abrasive pad and a hub cleaning tool for cleaning around the wheel studs. You should never remove more material than needed or produce sparks while cleaning the hub face. If space will allow, an abrasive pad can be used to clean the rust or corrosion off of the caliper bracket. However, using a file is the recommended method. Before installing the new hardware, put a light film of high-temperature silicone brake lubricant on all the clean areas to prevent future rust or corrosion. Lubricate all points of the hardware that come in contact with the brake pad using the high-temperature silicone brake lubricant. To prevent noise and wear, put a light film of high-temperature silicone brake lubricant on the face of the caliper piston where it contacts the brake pad. Also, put a light film on the caliper fingers where they contact the outer brake pad. Lubricating the caliper guide pins will ensure the brake caliper can slide properly. As stated earlier, a proper brake job starts with premium parts designed to original equipment specifications. Premium rotors are the best way to ensure the brakes operate how the original manufacturer designed them. Premium brake rotors are designed with the same amount and configuration of cooling vanes, as well as braking plates that are the same thickness as the original equipment manufacturer rotors. Never compromise safety with a lightweight rotor. Premium brake rotors ensure the strictest physical, safety, and performance requirements. Premium brake rotors offer heat dissipation, stopping distance, fade, wear, and noise suppression that is equivalent to or better than the original equipment manufacturer. New brake rotors may require a chemical cleaner to remove the shipping oil. Even if a chemical cleaner is used, new brake rotors still need to be cleaned with a mild dish detergent and water using a scrub brush. A spray chemical cleaner will not remove all of the machining particles that may be trapped in the surface of the brake rotor. Ultra premium rotors offer more benefits than the premium. One of the benefits is a brake rotor that's completely covered with an anti-corrosion coating. This coating protects the brake rotor for its life and should not be removed prior to installation. The coating will not affect the brake pads in any way. A brake rotor with this anti-corrosion coating will have a silver gleam to it, and there will not be any shipping oil on the rotor. Do not try to remove this coating. Prior to machining a brake rotor, be sure to clean both the inboard and outboard mounting surfaces of rust and debris. Machining or replacing rotors is vital to achieving a proper transfer layer of brake pad friction material to the rotor surface. Machining a brake rotor leaves tiny pieces of metal on the braking surface of the rotor. Machined rotors need to be cleaned with a mild dish soap and water using a scrub brush. After properly cleaning the rotor, it's now ready to be installed on the vehicle and checked for runout. Measuring runout only takes about a minute when assembling the new brakes. Excessive runout will eventually cause a brake pedal pulsation. Check the service manual for the maximum allowable runout specification, normally less than 0.02 of an inch or 0.05 millimeters. Always look up the specific torque specification for your vehicle. Then, using a torque wrench, tighten the caliper bracket bolts to the manufacturer's specification. Next, install the new brake pads into the caliper bracket, making sure the orientation and location of the brake pads and squeal indicators are correct. Reference the original brake pads or the service manual. Again, always look up the specific torque specification for your vehicle. Install the caliper onto the bracket, making sure the brake hose is not twisted and is routed correctly. Using a torque wrench, tighten the caliper mounting bolts to the manufacturer's specification. One of the most important yet overlooked steps is the proper torque of the wheel nuts. Please consult the service manual for the torque specification of your vehicle. Using an impact wrench to tighten the wheel nuts is perfectly acceptable as long as they are not tightened to the full torque specification at this time. We are merely tightening the wheel nuts to about 80% of the final torque value. This is enough to hold the wheels in place until the final torque to the manufacturer's specification with a torque wrench. Turn your impact gun to the lowest possible setting with the torque stick. Never touch the torque stick when tightening, as the torque stick acts much like a tuning fork and uses vibration. Holding or even touching the torque stick while tightening will change the torque value and will over-tighten the wheel nuts. Once the vehicle is on the ground, set your torque wrench to the manufacturer's specification and be sure to always use a star or crisscross pattern when you are tightening the wheel nuts. Prior to test driving the vehicle, we need to bring the caliper pistons back in contact with the brake pads. With the vehicle key in the off position, slowly pump the brake pedal several times. Do not push the pedal all the way to the floor, as this could damage the master cylinder. Repeat this step until you feel resistance in the brake pedal. Remember to check the brake fluid level after this step. The final procedure is a test drive, which will bed in the new brake pads to the new brake rotor surface. Performing this step incorrectly accounts for about 80% of brake pedal pulsation complaints. The complete bed-in process can take up to 500 miles, 800 kilometers. Therefore, we recommend the following procedure. 30 moderate to firm, not locking the wheels or causing the ABS to engage, stops from 60 kilometers an hour, 30 miles per hour, down to 8 kilometers per hour, 5 miles per hour, not coming to a complete stop during the entire process. Allow 30 seconds of cooling between stops. And avoid panic stops or severe braking situations for 300 kilometers, 200 miles. This presentation is by no means representative of all braking systems or brake problems. This is merely a guide for brake pad, rotor, and hardware replacement. Brake components should be installed by a trained technician. Any improper installation of brake components may cause a serious safety issue or an accident. Please consult the appropriate service manual for detailed instructions and specifications.